Greetings, brothers and sisters from South Africa, from George in Western Cape. And I have an exciting topic for you today. I'd like to speak about worship or sacrifice. I'd like to discuss those two very briefly. In other words, which one is greater? I'm taking you straight to the scriptures in 2 Chronicles, the Old Testament, from verse 12 to 14, and I'm reading from chapter 5, 2 Chronicles, from verse 12 to 14. All the Levites who were musicians, Asaph, Heman, Jeduthun, and their sons and relatives, stood on the east side of the altar, dressed in fine linen and playing cymbals, harps, and lyres. They were accompanied by 120 priests, sounding trumpets. The trumpeters and singers joined in unison, as with one voice, to give praise and thanks to the Lord, accompanied by trumpets, cymbals, and other instruments. They raised their voices in praise to the Lord and sang, "He is good, his love endures forever." Then the temple of the Lord was filled with a cloud, and the priests could not perform their service because of the cloud. For the glory of the Lord filled the temple of God. I'd like to mention verse 6 of the same chapter, which reads, "And King Solomon and the entire assembly of Israel that had gathered about him were before the ark, sacrificing so many sheep and cattle that they could not be recorded or counted." Here is an interesting part. They were doing what the law prescribed. When you dedicate something to the Lord, especially the temple of the Lord, Solomon's temple, and they had to offer sacrifices according to certain numbers minimum. But if we go to chapter 7, verse 5, it says that they give some numbers on the sacrifices, just to give you an idea. 22,000 cattle and 120,000 sheep and goats. And as I mentioned, verse 6 says they could not count all the sacrifices without number. There were so many. So that means it could have been more than that. So we see that sacrifices are offered above number and be counted. And yet we see that the glory of the Lord did not appear. But something happened when the musicians assigned by David, Solomon's father, specifically for praise and worship, and stood on the east side of the temple, and they lifted up their voices with all the priests in unison as one, then something happened. The glory of the Lord appeared in a cloud and filled the temple. That is remarkable. So, my first point is the sacrifices that were offered were more than sufficient, yet the glory of the Lord did not appear. There was something else needed. There was something else needed. And Perhaps the musicians praising, that was a well-known practice in the time of David, did not all the time cause the glory of the Lord to appear. But when they all lifted their voices in unison as one, then suddenly God appeared. What is the conclusion? Now, I'm trying to bring a point. Which is greater, sacrifice or praise and worship? Both of them are equally important in the body of Christ. But I'd like to say something to you. If your sacrifices are not based on praiseworthy heart that offers praises to God for his goodness, for who he is, not for what you're giving to him or what he'll give you, even that sacrifice is not sufficient. And the only way to express that is in praise and worship. And we see the picture in 2 Chronicles of exactly this taking place. Now, I'd like to say that of offerings and sacrifices given to God out of pure love can achieve more than any sacrifices purely based out of obligation. And we see this exactly playing out in the dedication of the Temple of Solomon. There is something more I'd like to mention here. Pay attention when the glory of the Lord filled the temple. The priests could not do their work. Isn't this amazing? The priests could not do their work. And what was their work? Sacrifices. Didn't the Lord know that when he appears, they won't be able to do their work? And yet he was the one demanding, according to the law, those sacrifices. What does that show us? It shows us that when we've done all the Lord expected from us, and we've given it all in sacrifices and in praise, there is nothing more that we could do. The Lord is saying, I'm taking over. See my glory, rejoice in my presence. Brothers and sisters, many of you have struggled with issues. Many of you have lived your life for the Lord, and there's something that troubles you, something that you feel you may have not received, something that causes you to feel the Lord has forgotten about you. Let me tell you, the best sacrifice you can offer to the Lord is praise for who he is. There's many things we don't understand in this world, but let me tell you, God is glorified and his glory will show up. Just when nothing is left of you to do except what you've done, lift your voice, if with your family, in unison with other believers, and praise the Almighty. Let us do this in churches, let us do this in our families, and let our God be glorified. I hope you enjoyed this topic briefly, and I'm asking you to make a comment. If you'd like to subscribe and receive more videos, I'll be following up with more teachings from the Old and the New Testament that are very excited for me. Bless you, brothers and sisters. May the Lord of glory, Jesus Christ, fill your hearts with hope, with peace, and with joy. Until next time, goodbye.